Maybe not, maybe so. We're live here in Chatter, Southwest Florida. I am joined with Kevin Graham, owner of Suncoast One Title. I got it right.
You got it right.
Okay. Well, tell us about your business. Tell us about yourself. We got some questions for you. We're going to get into a whole bunch of stuff. So we were having some banter prior to the show. We were talking about a couple of friends that we have in common.
Yes.
And just before we do start,
Yeah.
I have met you a couple of times, which is kind of intriguing, which is kind of cool. And again, we were speaking about this prior, was that I think we shook hands once or twice, but we never sat down and talked. We never sat down and hung out, never had a coffee, never really. But we've crossed paths during events or
Sure.
things that are happening, but we never had the opportunity to sit and talk. So there was nothing prepared. We didn't prepare before. We just, a couple of text
when
here
you
and there.
said, just tell me about yourself, I just went,
So
Yeah.
so that's pretty cool, and that's the way that we want this show to be. We don't want to prepare, have anything prior. I mean, we have a couple of questions that we have to
Okay.
keep me on track, but ultimately we just want to get to know you, get to know your business, and just what's going on with Kevin. So tell us about your business. I didn't even know that you owned it. You see
Oh,
that?
yeah.
So I even asked that. So go ahead and tell us about
yeah, I
it.
have Suncoast One Title. It's interesting. I used to have an insurance agency, which was Integrity Insurance, and sold out to my partners, good people. And I did that only because I had also bought, I had started a title company. It was very small, and we limped through the hurricane, post-Charlie, and post-recession, and the market meltdown. And quite frankly, the insurance agency is what kept us alive through that. And then about 4.5 years ago or so, somebody approached me, Sandy O'Grady, who owned Suncoast One, and said, hey, I like the way you do business, and I really want to retire. Would you consider buying me out? She was about twice the size of us, and we worked a few months over trying to create a deal and make the numbers work for her, so she could successfully retire, and that we would have a successful business. And so we merged the two companies, Integrity Title and Suncoast One Title, and we moved into their office. They had more space, and we merged the staffs, and since then it's been very successful. And the fact is that that's why I said I moved out of Integrity Insurance, because the title business was taking up my time.
Right.
And so my partners came to me and said, hey, what do you think about selling out? And I said, you know what, yeah, it's good plan.
When she approached you to purchase her out, that's a question that we always have. We always, because it comes up, people are intrigued of what we're doing as a business and our emergence onto the market. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's scary in a sense where it's they're saying, please, do you want to acquire? And then there's business that you have to handle. There's clients that are tight with them, and
Yes.
now you have to forge that relationship with those clients. How did that go through your head, or was that an excitement? Was that part of it, saying I'm ready to take on the challenge? Tell me about that.
There's some planning to do. I honestly have done I used to actually do some training for insurance agents and accountants and attorneys. And part of it was business succession planning and stuff like that. And one of the ways to do it is to go through a successful buyout. To get a successful buyout, in my mind, one of the things that you really need to do is make sure that the key person or the key people that are there stay there,
Right.
and create a good transition. So this was a very friendly acquisition. Sandy and I worked together well. She continued on staff as a marketing person for a few years, and honestly, she still comes in. She still helps us. She's still a good friend, and we still invite her to the Christmas party. She's
Sure.
still part of the team.
I was going to ask that. Did she happen to stay on? Because usually when these big buyouts happen, well, corporate-wise, even smaller businesses, the previous owner, if they stay on, that assists a lot.
Yes.
Because having a client, because I know if I was her client, knowing that, all right, it's being bought out, she's disappearing, and my relationship was very tight with her,
Right.
it'd be scary. It'd say, well, who's coming
Absolutely.
in? But if she approves, it kind of allows the customers to go ahead and approve as well.
Sure.
So,
and like I said, she
help.
was our marketing person. I mean, she was our go-to. And this particular area, Portia, Punta Gorda, Northport, this is a very relationship-driven
It is.
business area.
Yeah.
You don't just move in and throw up a sign and all of a sudden you're in business and everybody comes to you.
That's right.
The fact is in this town, to be very successful or to even be moderately successful, you have to build relationships and get people to come see you and get them to trust you. And that's the type of town this is. So yeah, having Sandy stay was extremely important
Sure.
So,
Sure. Yeah, that's, and back to what you were saying about the relationship building. I remember years back when I was building this out, our business. I remember I had someone come to me, and it was straight to my face, and just said, I won't say the words that this person used, but it was curse words, and basically say, "F the locals."
yeah.
This is not what it's about. You do not need relationships, and I couldn't internalize that.
No.
I never understood the mentality behind not trying to have, just from a human standpoint.
Right.
Just from a human standpoint, you still want friends. Even if I don't do business with somebody, I might want to hang out with them.
Right.
I don't
right.
do business with every person that I hang out with.
No, and you're not hanging out with them just to do business.
No,
with them either,
no,
yeah.
right. And then it goes back to like the whole intent stage too. Then the intent shows.
Yeah.
It's like having someone come on, having you on, then right after the show, hey, can we market for? It's not even about that. If the intent is pure,
Right.
and just come on, let's get to know the person. And
I remember the first day I pulled it back in, and I honestly was returning a rental car, and I came in a shirt and tie, and there was another guy turning in his rental car, and it was an older gentleman from Punta Gorda.
sorry about
And and I grew up here. I moved here in 1974, but I moved away for college and came back about 12 years later. But I remember this old guy looking at me and goes, "You ain't from around here, are you, boy?" And I went, "Well, actually, I am, but I'm moving back." And he said, a lot of people come back, or a lot of people move into town. He said, "Call me in a year when you're still here." And because
Interesting.
and to him, a guy in a white shirt and a tie didn't fit, and the fact is I mean, that was a long time ago. That was back in '97. So,
Wow. I actually encountered that. I was in a tie. I was in a no. I was in a button-up shirt, and I went to. Do you remember John Hall's Goalposts?
Yeah.
And I remember I went and I sat up at the bar. I got some food, and the lady behind the bar, she goes, "Where are you from?" I said, "I live here."
Yeah.
And I remember that. It was right because I was clean, dressed up, but
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
mean that other
shirt and
people
tie,
aren't.
and
But
yeah,
it was
exactly.
It just was. It was a unique experience. Like I was like,
Right.
"No, I'm from here."
Right.
No.
And
I
I
live
tell you,
down
for
the road.
a long time, I dressed down and dressed a lot more casually and things like that. Just recently, I've started to try to clean up my act.
I think
and
we're
look
going to do
better.
that now. I'm going to go away from the V-neck black T-shirt. What do you think, Christian?
I agree.
Yeah.
What?
Oh
This
my
is the MO, the beard and the T-shirt.
Yeah, dress like that.
We're going to start doing the vests. I like the
I
vests.
know, yeah.
Let's talk about your business before we get into a couple of questions about you.
Okay.
Who would use your business? Obviously, a real estate agent or
Anybody that's doing a real estate transaction is buying or selling property or refinancing a property, getting a loan on their property. So in reality, most of the marketing that we do is directly to realtors, because realtors are the ones that understand the business. They're the ones that have the transactions and are trying to manage things. So gaining the trust of the realtor and letting the realtor know that we're here to help and get the transaction from open to close. What we do, like for sale by owners and stuff like that, people will call us there. Lenders that are refinancing a house for somebody. So we do all the paperwork behind the scenes, make sure everything's paid off. So if there's an existing loan, there's no liens against the property, that kind of stuff. So
and they can choose who they want to use. So
Yes.
really, a mortgage broker isn't just reluctant to use just a certain. There's no
and
governance body that says you must go this route. They can pretty much choose who they want to.
The buyer or the seller, whoever's paying, or the person that's refinancing the property actually gets to choose.
Oh, really?
Yes. So the realtor
Oh.
and the mortgage broker they're the trusted advisor in the deal. So if the buyer or the seller is the one paying for title work, then the buyer or seller's agent is going, okay, who do you want to use for title? And if the buyer or seller says, I have no idea because I don't even know what title is, because most people don't.
Interesting, because I just bought property, and I wasn't even asked that question who I can use. It just
Ooh.
basically it just went through.
Yeah.
We're saying this live on air, but
Yeah.
we just allowed the process. I'm sure somewhere I signed, is this okay? I'm sure I just
it's on the contract. Who's going to hold escrow? And,
right. So,
But the question is again, you said you bought property?
I bought land.
Okay,
but
did
it's
you-
out of state though.
Did you pay the title work, or did the seller pay the title?
That I don't know. See,
And
maybe
that could be
okay.
part of it.
All right. because our real estate agent, he's phenomenal. David
Yeah.
B, if you're watching, you're phenomenal. I'm sure he'll watch.
David B, we should meet.
But yeah, okay, all right. So I didn't know that. So anyone who is purchasing property, they can elect to work with you directly.
If they are the ones paying title in the contract, the contract always determines is the buyer paying title or the seller paying title. In each county, there is what is traditional, but it's always a negotiable item.
Sure.
So whoever is saying I will pay title, they're the ones that are picking the title company.
Interesting.
And so,
Interesting.
yeah.
And what we'll do too is we'll link up top on our Facebook posts, and also we're going to link up on top here. We'll put your social media pages, your website, any information. So that'll be up here, a clickable thing. We're going to cut for a commercial break, and we're going to be back in just 30 seconds or so we can relax and have a sip of coffee. We'll see you back here, Chatter, Southwest Florida, in 30.
Good deal.
Okay. So now it's still live. So people can still hear you, but you can realize.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So it goes live, so we cut for 30 seconds. So during our edited version. So people
Okay.
can, what's cool about our live version is we're going to start to record even like from the minute someone walks in, we're going to just start to go. Of course,
Well, then
advise.
Can we have the clips afterwards, you
'Cause
know, the spoofs?
There's always, right, because there's
Yeah.
always things that we can capture, just like we started to banter and
Right.
talk
We
and
can
have
talk
some
about
fun.
Matt and his golf balls.
Matt and Nick. Definitely ask him about that,
Yeah.
though. You got it.
Right.
Okay, now he's giving me a countdown, see? 4. Okay, we're back live here on Chatter, Southwest Florida with Kevin Graham. We're going to get into some personal stuff with you.
Okay.
I got one question to start this off
Yes,
here.
sir. Uh-huh.
I got it right here. I can see. What are some common... No, you can't read
I
it.
can't read it. I got to listen to you. Okay.
What are some...
You pointed. I looked.
I did. What are some common misconceptions about you? That is a tricky one. That's a tricky one, because I was asked this recently.
You know, I think that there's two things that I've always thought differently about myself than I've heard other people say. One is that I love crowds.
Crowds?
Yeah, crowds. Like to go into a chamber meeting with 150 people, I don't always love that.
Gotcha.
There are times where I have to prep myself walking in.
Gotcha.
That I have to say, okay, it's time to work.
Right.
You know, and my job is to go in there and meet people and make connections and
Sure.
and really connect with people. And sometimes I will stay with one or two people, and sometimes I know that the whole room is there and I'm okay with it.
Right.
So it's not always as natural as people think.
Speaking of that, I remember the first time I met you was at a tri-chamber event. I don't remember the company. It was they sell flooring, cabinets, just cabinets maybe, or
just counters and other stuff.
just counters and other stuff.
Okay.
Right, it's kind of in like the industrial park behind the bowling alley.
Mark and Kathy Kemeny.
That was the first time when I was doing a little filming stuff for the CDBIA.
Yes. Okay.
That was like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
That was a
okay.
long time ago.
Yeah.
That was the first time I met you too. So that was a large crowd.
A very large crowd.
So maybe you
yes,
weren't
and it's-
comfortable coming into that kind of environment.
There's times.
So people think that you're ready to go, that you're always on, maybe because your personality.
Yeah, I think, and I'm better one-on-one. I'm okay with doing rooms. It's just, I think, the reason I say it is because I think business people look at it and go, God, I wish I could do that. I wish it was easy for me like it is for him.
Right.
And my message to other business people is there's nothing that's always easy. You have to know what your job is at the time and go do it.
Right.
And so if it's walking into a room of 150 people and saying, okay, who am I going to meet today?
Sure.
Because we all need to meet people to be successful. We already talked about relationships in this town are extremely important.
Sure.
So that's the one thing. The other thing that I found, somebody told me once that I was intimidating, and that to me is the farthest from the truth.
You know, someone told me one time I'm brash because I'm type A.
Yes.
But I am very insecure.
Yeah.
I'm anxious a lot. So that compensates. It comes out. But if people get to know me, and I know the team, they intimately know me, and I'm so far, like I'm so caring, like I'm so like we just helped out a young lady with her picture and stuff, and that was the biggest gift to do a graphic for her. It was on his time and the business's time, and but it's so far from that. Then after a while, then when they get to know you, it's like, well, was a misconception. They're not who.
Right.
But sometimes that comes across during a speaking event or during something, because sometimes you have to be, or if you're passionate about your product.
Yes.
Just the way that you were explaining about the title and stuff, title insurance, and I can tell, there is a passion.
Yes.
making sure I understand completely what that product is. And sometimes people, they think it's brashness.
Yeah,
Or,
I read
but-
something this morning. You know, our education now comes from little articles on Facebook and stuff, and it was about being intimidating. So I thought it was pretty funny that, and one of the things it talked about was, you know, that I might give people the impression that I don't have time for idle chatter. Well, and I guess I went, wow, sometimes I don't, and sometimes it's because I'm easily distracted. I have a terrible attention span. You know, if you weren't sitting right here, I would have been talking to him in 30 seconds.
I'm the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you throw in the like you said, type A personality. You have 100 things you want to get done. You're thinking about the next thing you got to get done, and then you get distracted easily. Throw those 3 things in, and unfortunately, I think some people, you know, if I'm sitting here talking to you and there's 10 people around me, that's one of the hardest things for me because I get so distracted so easily.
Sure.
And so if we had those 10 people around here and I gave you 30 seconds of that time and I went out to that other person because I wanted to make sure that they felt good about themselves as well, and then what did I just do to you? And so I don't know where it comes from. I do a lot of self-analysis and try to figure that out.
I was going to ask you that self-awareness though. Do you have a high level of like emotional intelligence? Like, can you feel like, do you feel you have that ability to be able to read people to see if they're engaging, or if you're in a group of 3 and you're chatting with one and you go to the next, do you feel a little bad about the other one? Like, I didn't give them enough attention, I have to go back? Like,
yes,
is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, you know, I want everybody around me to be happy. I really do.
Sure.
I just, and I think about that a lot. I care about people, and it's hard to realize that you can't make everybody happy.
No.
But yeah, if you're sitting in a crowd, and honestly, I will turn and focus on the one person that's really having a hard time getting into the conversation, because you know, and I always look at, a lot of my experiences are about business. It's the chamber events, it's those kind of things, and I remember being that new guy. I remember being that one that, you know, gosh, I want to figure out how to get to talk to that person or talk to one more person.
Right.
And so I want to, you know, be able to pull those people in and try to engage them a little bit and try to get them to the next point, and the next point, and the next point. I like people. I like to see people develop and succeed, and I think that's kind of cool.
We're kind of the same way, and you just answered my second question for you. What role you're taking as a leader within the chambers or the town itself? And I think you kind of explained that. You know, not leaving someone behind or someone new. Kind of exposing them, getting them out. You know, do you feel that you're hitting that leadership role? Because that's what attracted me to ask you to come on the show. You know, I see you as a community leader within the group. You know,
I like to mentor other business people. You know, and give them some help. The truth is, I used to do a lot with service organizations in the chamber and things like that, and I've kind of backed off of that because I have, you know, 13 people at work that, you know, need to develop and move, and I still am the president of the YMCA.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I've been on the YMCA board for, gosh, 18,
Charlotte County
19 years.
YMCA.
Yeah. And I've been the president twice for that, and that's a big part of what I've done. And what this is the one thing I've held on to. I've done Boy Scouts, and I've done, you know, all these other, you know, and I'm extremely active in the Association of Realtors in sponsoring events and things like that. But as far as, you know, being on committees and things like that, I haven't really done that lately.
Right.
I used to have 19 meetings a month.
19?
19 meetings a month.
Now is like the guilt getting to you that you can't attend or you can't assist as much as you used to?
That's a big part of it is, you know, being on a board and not getting there and just kind of having to say, look, I got to step off, and because to put your name on it and not be there that doesn't help anybody either.
Sure. No,
So,
I understand.
yeah.
I understand.
So the YMCA is my passion. That's a big part of it. Actually, we have an event October 14th. It's the Harbor Nights event. I got to throw that plug in there.
I did see that. I did say we'll link that up too. We'll put that up. We'll put that up as well.
And the hurricane has kind of taken and distracted everybody from sponsorships but the events are going on. The nonprofits are continuing.
Yep.
You know, and I don't serve on a lot of those committees, but I do a lot of nonprofit events. I think they're extremely important to keep our community running.
Sure.
It's amazing what the nonprofits in this town do as a percentage of
There's a
business.
lot of them. I'm noticing
Yeah.
there's a lot that are and they're jockeying too. They're trying to get the sponsors. There's only so many dollars that can
Well,
go
that's
around
it,
too, and
yeah.
it's like they have to try to fill that. Let's ask another question for you.
Okay.
It's right over here. Tell me something that's true that nobody agrees with you on. And I'm
Ooh.
interested if now I'm kind of intrigued if I will. Something that
Okay.
you believe is true that others just don't agree with you on.
Wow. I don't.
Because I went through this recently.
You know, I
with some
guess
stuff.
it's. I don't know that there's an absolute truth in things. I always say, you know, there's usually three sides to every story. You know, there's this side, that side, and somewhere in the middle is there's
Sure.
the truth.
Right,
I'm not
right.
sure about that, but I don't think a lot of people disagree with me on that. I'm willing to listen to most people's opinion on things. You know, I guess then the only other thing maybe people don't agree with on me, I believe there's a God. So,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but we don't want to, you know, don't necessarily need to go down that way either.
Well, we do agree with you there.
Yeah, okay,
on that one. And let's get to a final question because we're ready. We're at 25 minutes or so.
Wow,
here.
that went fast.
I know. I told you.
Yeah.
That was gonna scream on by. I saw on your Facebook feed,
Mhm.
nice black Jag.
Yeah.
Nice SUV.
Yes.
What is the name of it?
It's called an F-Pace.
F Pace.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
The
And,
F Pace. Outside of that,
Mm-hmm.
let's put that aside as a purchase.
Okay.
What was the last item that you just spent a silly amount of money on? And a silly could be because we had a guest on that spent $100 at Prime. We had Dr. Comanche said she spent $1,000 on a dress at Saks. So people have mine were the boots, which I didn't wear today, but I spent a silly amount of money on these great wingtip boots that I love.
Yeah.
You know, so just what did you spend a silly amount of money on in your eyes recently?
In my eyes.
And recently
it
could be
depends
the
on it.
best.
Recently, I was, you know,
This is-
I bought some clothes and stuff, but that's not probably the last silly purchase I made was I bought a boat last year.
A boat.
Yeah, I bought a 27-foot Sea Ray, and I thought it was a silly amount of money.
Yeah.
And then I bought the Jag, and I thought that's a silly amount of money. But truthfully, I went a lot of years pushing through and kind of limping along and trying to make a living and making sure I could pay for my house and my car and I had a friend of mine looked at me the other day and he said, "I can't believe you actually did something for yourself."
Mm-hmm.
And so I do think it's a silly amount of money, and I still shake my head and go, I'm not sure I should have done it.
Right. Right.
My good old truck was pretty good. So
It's the mindset too. You know, we're kind of struggling with our business of the abundance mindset versus someone who's scarce. You know, that whole thing. And we know we're blessed. We know we have to keep the abundance where it's if you do good, it's always gonna in some way. You know what I mean? The dollars come. Like it's kind of amazing because it's like when you think you hit a lull, you didn't.
Yeah.
It's sort of just a catch up.
Right.
And so if you look at the blessings that happened during that lull, it's like, well, that gave me opportunity to catch up or to spend time with my dad or my wife or whoever, or my kids or whatever it is. It just gives you an opportunity to look at what you weren't doing when you were so busy. Then all of a sudden it ramps back up and
Right.
and it,
Well, and I've always said too,
But abundance
if you do all the right things for the right reasons, everything else takes care of
it
itself.
does. It does.
And that's
It does. It takes maturity. It takes time to learn that. It takes it's the wisdom. And recently I gotta say, just the past couple of years, through a lot of stuff because we're a faith organization as well too. So as you mentioned, God, we're Christians, and we can say that live here. We don't preach it or anything with it, but we are. And when I noticed myself getting more involved in that, not that there's a miracle that says here you go, but I think it just purifies your heart a bit.
Yeah.
Which then makes you connect more with people. It makes people kind of connect more with you, no matter what religion or why you do, whatever a person believes in. If it goes towards the positive,
Sure.
it's amazing how it turns.
Yeah.
Even on your worst day, it doesn't feel like your worst day because that positive is right around the corner.
Yeah, and then you got to look at it that way. That's so important.
It's bizarre. Yeah, it's like this storm comes. Yes, power is out. We're suffering and struggling. What it taught me was I was a spoiled brat. I gotta tell you, I mean, it really did. Having my
Yes.
refrigerator right, like just everything right there.
Yeah.
Those couple of days, it humbled.
Yes.
It humbled
yes.
me. And now I can't imagine these folks that are suffering. Look at a second storm coming through. I mean, it is suffering time.
Sure.
And I just can't imagine. I mean, they might never have power again in that area. I mean, for
Months. Could be
months, years.
yes.
It just
Yeah.
but for me to 48 hours without my Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
I was
And to think,
spoiled.
an hour and a half south of here, those people are underwater.
We just got a video. We just sourced a video from Marco and a few others a little south of Naples, and it's devastating. It's
Right.
really bad. And it's like, I mean, what can we do? We can run down some food.
Well, that's about,
You know,
that's what it can be.
that's
run,
it.
Run some food down there. Go
know,
down and cut some trees for people. And
But is that really what they want at this moment?
You
It's
know
like I
what,
think it's like a normalcy. Like you just want, because I'm sorry, I'm interjecting
No,
really
no.
quick, but a thought hit here. When my power was out, Chris gave me an opportunity. He's sitting back there tapping away on his PC, but his power was on, and he said, "Come on over."
Right.
I didn't want to.
Yeah. And some people don't. And
Because
and
I
we
just
did-
wanted
we-
my home. I wanted
yeah,
to be
you know,
home in my own.
We took to an older couple. We took a generator and an air conditioner and 5-gallon jugs of water so they could bathe and
Yeah,
and
that's what I was
and
doing.
I'm like, guys, come over and take a shower. And they're like, no, we want to be here, and that's okay. I remember after Charlie, there were people that showed up, and they walked up around and picked up branches off my yard and
Yeah.
brought me water and ice. And honestly, I got to tell you, I'm never going to forget that.
Yeah.
It means so much. So I would tell you, you can't say what can we do. The fact is that anything you can do, you reach out to somebody.
Sure.
Just the idea of asking somebody if they're okay,
Yeah.
is an important thing. It's that human touch.
That was what we did prior to the storm. I Facebooked before. I didn't think my power was going to be out for so long, but I said, if anyone needs their house checked, you let us know. And then Chris had his power turned on before, and he went and checked a few. So he jumped to me before because he had the power on to go ahead and do that. But I can tell in the messages that I had about 9, and I wrote them all down in a journal, knowing power was going to go out. But I put all the addresses and the names, and I got the messages back. A few of them, thank you so much. It gave them the peace of mind, and hopefully they'll pay that forward.
Sure.
It wasn't a selfish act. It was just I was just like, well, they're out of town or they fled.
Sure.
They need their homes checked.
Yeah.
It's just that little ease knowing when they're driving back in,
To know
their house is
everything's
okay,
Yeah,
outside of
exactly.
some debris.
Yeah, we had somebody that did that for us. We were very grateful. They came, went to
Yeah.
buy the house, and they actually snapped a couple of pictures,
Oh, see,
and they sent it to us. And
I think Chris
so,
did that. Yeah, I think
So
yeah.
actually, Tracy told from my office, and her boyfriend. So they were really nice to us, and they snapped pictures. And Arthur DeStefano, he's a realtor. So thank you to both of you.
That gives you the peace of
Oh,
mind
yeah,
traveling back
to
in.
know that
Yeah.
that we weren't going back to a shredded pool cage and a sunken boat and a leaky roof and
Yeah.
things like that. They just snapped some pictures of the outside of the house and said, "Look, everything looks okay."
But you had the Jag with you.
Well, I had the Jag.
You had the Jag
me.
with you,
Yes,
so you
I
also-
did. It made that 23-hour drive very much better than it could have been.
I hear you.
So,
Well, Kevin, that is it.
all right.
Thank you so much
Yeah,
for
thank-
joining. Yeah, I
thank
appreciate the
you.
talk, and this is the first time really sitting down with you. I look
Yeah.
forward to doing this more. I actually want to
Absolutely.
come by the office. I think I want to come by the office, just check it
Okay.
out.
We have 2 of them.
You have 2 offices.
Yeah, we have one in Port Charlotte now too. We opened in January. So.
We're gonna cover some of that for you. We're gonna get
Okay.
you some on our social media channels and just do that as a thank you for coming on. So,
Oh, okay, great.
all right, thank you so much for joining us. Look for the replay later today. C-Boss will be getting it out. Thank you for joining us here on Chatter, Southwest Florida with Kevin Graham. We'll see you on the next show. And we're still hot.